Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Randall George Nozella. I am the Bounce Back Blind Guy, and welcome to New Enlightened Lifestyle Medicine. Oh, please say hello to co-host Patrick Herbert.
Hello.
Hello, Patrick.
Hi.
So everyone knows, Patrick, since becoming a host to the show, has really, upgraded the show because you already know he's a journalist and researcher, so he brings factual, fresh ideas, and yes, facts can be fresh when they're real and truthful, to our show. And we've had a lot of great interviews on the show because of him, and he's just upgraded the form and style of it. So, thanks to Patrick, that's what he brings, and so we're better off for it. We have a very special guest here with us today, and to you Nelmers, and well, you already know what time it is, right? Because although it's September 30th, right? It's time, and it's time to get it on. And this is what we're doing right now. We have Christy Salters with us. You might know her better as Christy Martin, world championship boxer. And I'll just review what I've learned about her, okay? Because fabulous life, interesting life, and a leader that we all should know, and a leader that we all should basically emulate. Okay. Anyway, from West Virginia. Okay, and for me, I'm growing up in Hawaii, all I know about West Virginia is a John Denver song. So what do I know? And maybe the Hatfield and McCoys. I'm not. That this is about what I know. And then coal mining over there, and as we'll have Christy explain this to us, but why in the boxing industry that they call her the coal miner's daughter. Okay, and so obvious, I guess, for that reason, but this is where she grew up, and then was a all-state basketball player. Yeah, that good, and got a college scholarship for playing basketball. I mean, who does that, right? So incredibly athletic and all that, and she gets a degree in education. So here's an athletic, highly educated person, and there's something in her that has drawn her to boxing, to fighting. And she's you've heard of the tough guy fights, right? But there are also the tough women fights, and she was a three-time champ, running before she turned professional. And anyway, she kept on winning, and after over 20-year career, she's known as the most successful woman boxer in history, and one that was the trigger, the catalyst to elevate women's boxing as a sport, as a true sport, and she's the ambassador to that. And we'll talk more about what's happened to her afterwards, with her 20-year marriage to Jim Martin, and the abuse that she had to endure that nobody knew about, okay, that ended up with her getting shot, and she almost died. And so we're going to talk about that too, and her upcoming new book. But we're so honored and just grateful to have Champ Christy on the show, because she represents what our humanity can be. When love comes first, okay, when caring comes first, okay, when you do what you want to do, when you do what your heart pull does, and where you can go when you hit rock bottom. Okay. But it's just a pleasure and honor. Christy, welcome, and let's start out with, can you go over a little bit of, a brief bio sketch of you, of, where you grew up, what you did, and, what your high school years were like, and why with this great ability, especially in basketball, why you chose fighting? that drew you to, because before you got on here, I was listening to your the fight you had. Oh gosh, what was her name? I just forgot her name. But you won a 10-round decision over her, and uh, Carolyn,
Kathy Collins.
Kathy Collins, yeah. And then the one of the commentators was George Foreman, and
Yes.
a guest commentator was Louisa Ricker.
Yeah.
And then she told a funny story about you when you guys were in Los Angeles or something. But it kind of just with our brief conversation that we had, kind of reminds me of you. You're confident, and you've got an attitude, which is a good one. And then you exemplify who you are, and you exemplify the sport. I just thought that was just a neat. Listen to 3 rounds, and listening to the commentators talking about you. But from what I've read, what stands out is that you've got this certain look, and then you go after folks and all that, and that there's confidence and there's purpose, and something that we all should have. But anyway, welcome, and just go a little bit over about how you grew up, and your you say your high school years and your college years, and what drew you to fighting.
Wow. Well, thank you for having me, first and foremost. And I actually am going to go to Hawaii for the first time at Christmas. I've never been to Hawaii before, but my wife grew up, for her young years, she spent in Hawaii. Her father was in the military. So she's taken me back to where she had spent some of her growing up years. So I'm excited. I mean, really, really excited about going to Hawaii. So that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I am truly the coal miner's daughter, or a coal miner's daughter, and small town, Southern West Virginia. There's my town is literally 1 mile long. Welcome to, now leaving, 1 mile. That's it. Maybe there's 500 people that live in the town now. There's probably a few more people back, let's see, 40 years ago. Real small. My high school had 86 people graduate with me. So that kind of tells you how small the surrounding towns even were. It took a lot of little towns to even come to make one high school. I played basketball, played Little League baseball when I was, 12, 10, 11, 12. Had all boy cousins. I have one younger brother, so I was out there doing sports all the time. In West Virginia, Southern West Virginia, there's not a whole lot. You don't have a whole lot of choices. You basically play sports. That's your choice. Some of the girls do cheerleading, I guess, and there's no dance, there's no boxing gyms, there's no karate. A lot of young kids now do karate, soccer, things like that. Those things weren't available. So I just I laugh and say I did 2 things that were popular in Southern West Virginia at the time. I played sports and I drank beer, and I was good at both. So I think I grew up, I didn't grow up hard. My father was a hard worker, so I understood what it was to work hard and work long hours. And that I had that great work ethic. I understood that from day one. But I felt like I was like one of the lucky kids. I turned 16, I had a car. My dad built a basketball court in our backyard, cement and everything. So I had some advantages probably that some of the kids that were in my school didn't. Had great support from my family or my parents as far as with the sports things and basically anything I did, they were supportive of, except they could never really understand that I was lesbian, so that was like a problem that I knew we could never come to that point. So I always tried to hide my true identity and was never able to really be open about that. That was hurtful and harmful to me as I've grown older. But, so I went to Concord College, which was a small West Virginia school, and fortunate, played basketball there, paid for my school, have a degree in education. But truthfully, I never really wanted to be a teacher. I thought I would be maybe a coach. I was more interested in coaching basketball or being some kind of instructor, not a teacher instructor, just a more of a coach. But it was crazy, you know, boxing came in as a lark, really, never knowing that there would be my life, my true career would be with boxing. I entered the tough man contest, as you talked about. You know, of course, there was a women's division. So, and that's just what I fought was tough women. You know, it was not even athletes. I'm just talking about women that were just barroom brawler kind of women, or just thought they were badasses, you know. But I was an athlete, so I had a big advantage over those women, and was fortunate enough, with no boxing skills, no idea what I was doing, I was able to win. But with that, I just got hooked on the sport, and then it was just one thing led into another, and then boom, I was signed with Don King and fighting in Madison Square Garden.
Awesome. Wow. Yeah, you're talking to boxing fans, so, and we're no stranger to Don King, so that would be some very interesting conversation for sure. So, well, this is Dr. Randall. So I just had a quick question for you. I don't want to hijack his show because I know he's excited about asking questions. When you went into boxing, obviously you at the beginning you didn't recognize you were talking about these other women, the people you were facing, as being more sluggish, and I'm sure being an athlete, you could appreciate, like you had said, the tactical part of it, because at least from my understanding of boxing, it's, you know, it's the full spectrum, from knowing your own body, knowing, you know, your opponent, knowing your, you know, what you're good at, your extents, how to handle yourself, and then, you know, the tactical prowess with which you will chip away at your opponent and his defenses, and then put him down. So where did you start to see, like, this all becoming a life for you? Like, as in, like, did you identify that first? I mean, certainly you didn't go in there thinking of just, you know, I have to learn how to box. So how did that come all about, you know, from those moments?
This is how crazy it was. Like, when I entered into those tough man, tough woman contests, mm-hmm. I never thought about, like, boxing as a career. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just that. It was just, you know, this little competition boxing, that we do in West Virginia. We're going to go out there. It's not even really boxing. We're just going to go out there and fight, really. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we had big 16-ounce gloves on, headgear, 3 1-minute rounds. I had no boxing skills. No, I mean, I had no knowledge of boxing, other than I had watched some fights on TV. I had never been in a boxing gym. Didn't even know where a boxing gym was or who coached boxing in the area. So zero understanding of how serious boxing is. So sometimes you go in there, you know, totally blind. Sometimes it may be better, because had I known, like, the possibility of how seriously I could have gotten hurt, maybe I wouldn't have done it. But I didn't, you know, I didn't know. So ignorance is bliss, right? And that was definitely me. I was truly ignorant to how serious boxing is. But, as you know, one thing would lead to another. I did a couple tough man contests, and then I did a couple more. And finally, a professional promoter called me and asked me, would I come fight his girl in Bristol, Tennessee? So I thought, you know what? I'm about to graduate from college. I'm going to go do this one time, just so I can tell, you know, my friends, maybe grandchildren at some point, that, hey, I had a professional fight, right? Thinking that was going to be it. I mean, truly one time and one and done. But again, I still hadn't been in a boxing gym. I had no coach. I had no one teaching me how to throw a jab, keep my hands up. I didn't know. I just went out there and fought. And
wow. So you had some raw ability right out of the bat. I guess that's how it works. I was when you were saying this, I always think about what Mike Tyson had said famously once. He said, everybody's got a plan until you get hit. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's so true. You know, you go in there and you think, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. When this person does this, I'm going to counter by it. And then you get cracked really good. All that goes out the window. No, we're in a fight.
That's incredible. So what's Don King like?
Don King. Let's see. It was great. You know, I honestly think that Don King is the greatest promoter that promoted boxing up until now, when we have the social media and all that. And I don't know how well he would do in today's age of really being a promoter, because King is one of those guys that he wants to be with the people. He doesn't want to sit behind a computer and send out messages. He wants to be in a room where people know him, where they can touch him, where he can touch them, and sell a fight, and he can sell it. I mean, you know, I always said that Don King didn't do boxing shows or fights. He did events. Every time it was an event. And when I say that, you had people, you know, the actors and actresses, the superstars of Hollywood coming to the fights, the rappers and musicians and everybody that was anybody would be at those, especially the Tyson fights. He turned everything into a real event. You know, love him or hate him, he was good for boxing when we had him, and probably he would be able to adjust to the social media stuff today. I actually had been talking to him. We were going to work together and co-promote a fight recently, and it fell through at the last minute. So I was very disappointed. I thought, wow, how awesome that would be to actually be able to tie my name in with King all these years later, and it would I think it would be good publicity for him, but it would also bring credibility to Christy Martin Promotions.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. Now, you know, from what I've read, you know, 1989 was, you know, I believe the start of your professional career, and then, boy, by 1993 comes around, you win your first world championship. Okay, and so obviously you had this fire in you, and then you learned how to become a boxer. Okay, and then eventually the most successful one that female boxing has ever known.
You know what?
Jim Martin. What about him?
About Jim Martin?
Well, yeah, and well, you ended up seeking him out or to train you and all that, and then you know, from there you guys well, you endured through a 20-year abusive marriage. But what about him?
Yeah, it was crazy from the beginning, really. Actually, I was still in West Virginia, finishing up college, and the promoter from Tennessee called me and told me that he would like for me to move down to Tennessee. He had a trainer that was going to be training his son that really wanted to train me. And I thought, you know, I wasn't sure if that was true, but I thought, you know what, I'm about to graduate from college. We all know that when we leave college, real life starts, right? You have to go to work every day. You have bills to pay, all that kind of, like, it's grown-up time. So I thought, I'm going to take 6 months from the time I graduate from college, just take 6 months, go down to Tennessee, box, live it up, have fun. And then when school starts back in August, you know, like regular public school, I will have a teaching job and start my, you know, real life. Didn't work that way. I went to Bristol, Tennessee, and met Jim Martin. Of course, the first day I met him, it was clear to me that he wanted no part of having a female fighter in his gym. Jim Martin was is very egotistical, very arrogant, and very much a male chauvinist. And throughout my career, if you didn't say pig behind that, he would be offended. He just absolutely hated women, and it was just weird. But for whatever reason, I stayed, and I would train hard. And it took a few days, and he would see how hard I worked. And, you know, as a teacher or trainer, coach, when you have somebody that's like at the zero level, you know, it's like a handful, you have clay in your hand, but as you shape it, and you can see you're shaping it every day, you can see like huge leaps and bounds of improvement and learning. It's exciting to be a coach. And I think that's what happened, because I walked in with zero knowledge of how to fight. And I listened, I trained hard, and then every day you could just see, you know, steady improvement, big improvement. And I you know, I won him over as a fighter. And that was where I wanted to go, was to win him over as a fighter. So to really learn how to fight.
That's incredible. And then, well, your career, you know, speaks for you know, itself, with all the many fights you've had. And you being recognized as that basically a game changer in the industry. Okay, but see, I learned of you through a documentary my wife and I were listening to in the early morning. I said, well, I got to go meet her because, and then I found a number with a 702 area code, and I left a message, and you returned a call, and it was the same voice that was on the documentary. I go, oh gosh, she called back. This is so cool, But okay, here's I guess the question. I guess for me and for the audience is, so you're a gay person, and I believe Jim Martin is not, and you still got married. Now, how did that work out for 20 years? And it seemed from I learned from the documentary that the abuse started getting worse and worse and worse, and yet no one knew. Perhaps maybe some close friends of yours, but the public did not know. How did you get through those 20 years and to finally come at the end of that saying, I want out, I want a divorce, I want my own life, and leading up to the stabbing and shooting, of which you told me you knew you were going to get shot, but you showed up to the home anyway. Can you go over, that sequence and kind of update us of, why you did what you did?
Yeah. I say from the time I woke up in the hospital, I said, God left me here for a reason. Yeah. And I totally and truly believe that. And that reason is to share my story, talk to other people about domestic violence, and to make everybody more aware, and to understand that domestic violence doesn't just mean bruises. My situation was a lot of control, manipulation, isolation. It wasn't so much physical. Like a handful of times it was physical until it was really physical. And I think, in my opinion, I think that's where most of this goes. And if people could stop domestic violence and get out when they start being more aware of just the control, the isolation. If you're with somebody and they want to isolate you from your family and your friends, and control who you talk to, when you talk to them, what you say to them. And these are the things that Jim did to me. I would go to get my hair done. He would show up. That's girls' time when you're getting your hair done. I would go get my nails done. And this is absolutely the truth. I was getting my nails done once, and he came, pulled a chair up right beside me. And after watching the lady finish up, he said to me, I can do that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. You could. But in my mind, I'm thinking, look, I'm from West Virginia, and there's no man that I know in West Virginia that's doing his wife's nails. Really? That was just a little much for me, but that's the way he did. I would be in Walmart shopping and, look over my shoulder and there's Jim. He was always to show up where I might be, but every night, every night might be too much, but I will say 7 out of 10 nights, he would shower, get dressed, cologne on, jewelry on, and leave the house and be gone for hours and hours and hours. I had no idea where he was. And the very truth is, I didn't care, because I thought, as long as he's out there doing whatever it is he's doing, he's not in here bothering me. So it was a strange relationship. It was crazy. It was difficult. We put on I felt like I put on a pretty positive face in front of the cameras, but behind the cameras, it was hell. And he knew he had me because I loved boxing so much. And my career was just, in the 90s, it was just growing and growing and awesome. I did some really cool things, and I didn't want to lose that. And he knew I didn't want to lose that. So it was easier for him to keep that the reins tightened and not let me go. And many times I would try to talk to him, and I even wrote up a contract once, and I was like, this is how we can divide everything up, and you can still train me, but I want out. I want a divorce. And it was during my boxing career, at the height of my career, and the answer was clearly this is not happening, and I will ruin you if ever, if you proceed with this. And then he would tell me, before I even married him, he would tell me, if ever you leave me or try to leave me, I will kill you. And at first, I mean, I'm 22 years old. I'm thinking, sure, I kind of laughed it off and didn't take it that seriously. But after hearing that for almost 20 years, and at some point, and I can't tell you exactly when I changed and realized that this man is serious, if ever I try to leave, he's going to kill me. But somewhere along the line, I realized that that's the way it was going to end. And maybe it was because he started telling people. I mean, he would tell people, yeah, if she leaves me, I'll kill her. And now looking back on it, some of those people have come to me and they said, we're so sorry. We should have done something. We should have said something. But what do you say? Yeah, I don't know.
And it. Thank you for your coming and talking to us about this. I mean, these are important things. I've been in a similar relationship like that, and a lot of people, they don't understand. They always think right off the bat, why don't you just leave? And it's it's so simple to them, but like you were saying, the psychological manipulation, which is so real, and the and isolation, which is so real, and just you're so 100% true on all of that, because my first marriage was very strange like that, where we were actually kind of doing that to each other, and it became like War of the Roses. And I don't know if you remember that movie where the couple literally tried to destroy each other. Yours sounds a little bit different than what mine was, but yeah, that's a tough one. And yeah, for those who don't understand, it really is. It's complex like that. It's with the psychological manipulations like this, but with yours, I do believe that this had to do a lot with your success as a boxer too, and him wanting to maintain, correct me if I'm wrong, the control, because it benefited him financially and all other ways, including notoriety, being your trainer and such. So am I correct there? Or?
Right. And that's what, I mean, I became I always, tell everyone I was his personal ATM. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was doing okay with boxing, making decent, really good money, especially for a female fighter. And, I say, I checked it in, he checked it out. It was that easy. And actually he was taking money that I didn't know he was taking until it was over. My house was paid for, everything was done. And then I go in the hospital, come out and realize my house is being foreclosed on.
Wow.
And he had gone in and remortgaged it. So, because I would always laugh and say, look, I don't care. My house is paid for. So the truth is I can work at Walmart and pay the utilities. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was, I'm good. I'm okay. And to have everything, I mean, lose it all. And some of that, I got crazy with cocaine. And so I have to take some of the responsibility, I have to take my part. Mm-hmm. And that's what, I guess I wasn't paying attention anymore. He knew I was more interested in staying high, but that's the only way I could deal with him. My career is basically over. So now what? Now it's just him. That's it. And it wasn't going to work for me. And I just came to the decision that, no, I'm going to take care of me. And, but at the same time, I did know that he would kill me or try to kill me. And even though I went back to the house that day, I knew that if I didn't, he was gonna chase me for the rest of my life. So who wants to live their life looking over their shoulder? I felt like I'm either gonna live or die, and that's what happened. It got to that. I was either gonna live or die, and he stabbed me several times, punctured my lung, shot me, missed my heart by 3 inches with a 9mm, cut my calf muscle almost completely from my leg. I'm blessed. I mean, I walk by and I run. I actually fought after that. But yeah, it was actually, that's when I speak to people about domestic violence. It's tough because as I share my story, I also have to remind them, this isn't what I would tell anyone else to do. This is what I had to do. Mm-hmm. Because he had convinced me that I was by myself, that my family didn't love me. Basically I had no friends, and the world hated me. he convinced me that even the boxing world, everybody was against me. So when he shot me and I came to it in the hospital, and I have messages and messages and messages from people, fans, people in the sport, supporting me and we hope you're okay, and prayers. And it was amazing to me. I was like, he lied all this time and convinced me. And that's what abusers do. I mean, they just get the control, and they know how to do it. I mean, he's a narcissist. He's terrible man.
But now you've come out of it, so it's been like a whole, like, at least that's what was for my experience, just eye-opening when you get away from it all. And then you now, after having gone through and you hit rock bottom and you had to, climb back up. And I think all three of us here have a similar story. Dr. Randall, I don't know if he's told you, he was shot in the head, and
yes,
and yeah, he's had some remarkable recovery. So it's really awesome to hear that you were able to get through all that. You had such an awesome support in all your fans, and pulled yourself together, and now living life the way that you want to live it, and fulfilling these dreams that you have now. And so tell us about what's going on. What's the good after all that bad? Where are you at now? How do you feel about your life in general?
It's still tough because I was with him for 20 years, and it was 20 years of beat down, and anything positive that happened. I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I'm so excited. Sports Illustrated sent me some copies, but then I had to go to the store in the corner because I wanted to buy one off the shelf, right? Mm-hmm. So when I come back, I'm so excited, and he wants to tell me how really had nothing to do with what I did to get on the cover of Sports Illustrated. It was all about what he had done. And so it was always he could take the air out of my cells, always. And so even now, I still struggle with it. I mean, I try to put that I'm a very confident person out there, but I'm working on it. I mean, I'm still working on who am I? Right after being shot and stabbed, I remember going into to the mall, and I'm like, I don't even know what kind of clothes I want to buy. I mean, he had controlled everything for so long that somebody had me the remote control to turn a channel on the TV. I'm like, I don't care. It was like, and still today, I mean, sometimes I just take whatever everybody else wants to do is fine. Like I don't make an opinion, and I don't feel comfortable or confident in me. So that's what it's a work in progress. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I get there. I'm sure I will. I have great support from Lisa, my wife. She tells me, recently she told me, she said, if you could just see you through other people's eyes, you would have that confidence would be there. Mm-hmm. But I can't, and I don't. And that some of that might be okay, because I was pretty much an arrogant ass during my boxing career. So, but a little bit of that, I'm like, I need a little touch of it back. I don't have it. But even with being a boxing promoter, actually this morning in a conversation, somebody told me, what happened to you? Where is that same person that used to like stand over somebody you knocked out and make fun of them, basically? And if you had that same attitude as a promoter, you're already killing it, but you would like way be killing it if you just had that same confidence. And I'm like, I don't know how to tame it. It's like, gotta be one way, or maybe I shouldn't be like that. So we're working on it. I'm working on it.
No, you are. I'm so glad you're on the show, but you're not that same person. You've grown, and then what you're going to find is certain things that will come up in you, and a lot of this will be outside your awareness or subconsciously, is things that tug at your heart, things that you love, and you don't know why, or a yearning or longing for something. And I would say go with it, because you don't know yet. Until you do it. And congratulations, by the way. You and Lisa are about to have in November your third winning anniversary. So
yes, thank you.
Congratulations on that. Well, no, you found someone that you love, and there's nothing. I was talking to Patrick earlier about this. Nothing more worthwhile in life to share life with someone that you love, or those people that you love, because, that's what we're put on earth for. And, with all this other stuff with the Christy Martin promotions and all that you do, is that, your private life, with Lisa, and who you are and who you will become is most important, because, that's your gift, your God gift to be on earth, because you get to share your best self. So I just, just think it's awesome, of where you've come and what you've done. And, that's one thing we share in common. We beat a bullet.
Right.
Yeah. Super congratulations, because this is so awesome.
But, listening to your, that documentary where I first learned about you, it's just, it was, well written, I thought, but here you are, you're punctured lung, you're bleeding to death, your husband's in the shower. And then, so you grab your keys and you go outside and go, oh, you have the wrong set of keys. Oh, right. No, I can't go back. I said, oh, so, my wife and I are listening to this, going, oh, that's something I would have done. And grabbed the wrong thing. And then what? And like you were saying, you weren't meant to die. You should have, but you weren't, and look at you now. And that's why, like I tell Patrick all the time, God has plans for us, and it's up to us of what we do with them. But, you've got this great heart, you've got a competitor's heart, and, as you're a competitor, you're cocky. And that's what added to your greatness. And just listening to that last clip I was telling you about, that they had interviewed you, and you came up with this, I just hit people on the chin and they go to sleep.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Let me hire her, because, that's CEO stuff and stuff like that. And that's with purpose. So, you made that decision to show up knowing that, you wanted to confront, this, what you didn't want to run away from for the rest of your life, and you got stabbed and shot and almost killed for it. Okay. Now you're on to this new life. Okay. Christy, what makes you happy? If you were just to sit and, not of what you want to accomplish and all that, but what is it that makes you happy?
What makes me really happy is hanging out with Lisa, and we just sometimes she works crazy, but we just get to chill sometimes, and it makes me happy. It makes me happy in so many ways, because finally I'm with somebody that I truly love, and I get to be me. I mean, it's not like we don't have to hide anything. I'm not hiding from anybody anymore. There's really no pressure on. That makes me happy, but I'll tell you what else makes me happy. And this is absolutely, to actually get up there and like with the domestic violence shelters and talk to these women. And afterwards, you never know, are you really connecting or not? And after, then you'll have them come to talk to you, and then you have, that maybe you said 2 words that meant absolutely nothing to me, but they registered and with that person, and they, the light came on, and now I got it. And I feel like I've helped them. So that makes me happy. I mean, that's it. I just want to help. I want to help somebody else, because I lived through so much hell. And I mean, my good years, those were my good years I gave to this asshole. And, I just want to stop somebody else from have to live through that, to hide. Also, like parents that have a gay child, they want to, what did they do wrong? Or they think they can change them. Well, to be gay is not a decision. It's not a choice. Yeah. You either are or you're not. So the choice comes along with, do you want to be who you truly are, or you want to hide for all of your life? And I know, and you guys probably know, people that have decided they're going to hide for all their life instead of being true to themselves. And that's just not a way to live. I mean, you're just never going to be happy.
That's true. And there are energetic consequences to that also, and esoterically, depending on one's beliefs. But yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough I grew up in a family that was very open. My aunt is a lesbian and my uncle is gay. was gay. He unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. So I grew up very, to me, that's all normal. And to see and hear about, like you were saying, parents who are trying to change their children is weird to me. I always thought it was just, I never understood that for the life of me. But that's a good point to point out. Yeah, it is very important to let people be themselves, especially your children. I have a young daughter, so I was thinking of her as you were saying that, because of my wife and I talk about it all the time. If we love and support her no matter how she is. Like,
right.
we're kind of, she's our boss in a way, and I think honestly it should be that way. And because she's the one that's she's growing up, she's gonna be the next successive generation. So we need to I don't know, but yeah, I don't mean to go off on a tangent there.
Cool.
But that's a good point.
Right. I think that so many so many bad things happen to these kids, because even with me, I drank all the time in high school. I was drinking all the time. But really, why was I drinking? Because it wasn't just because I thought it was cool. It was really, I was drinking because I wasn't fitting in anywhere. I wasn't getting support. And, if parents and I'm from such a small town in Southern West Virginia, it was hard. It would be hard, but parents just have to understand that this is who my child is, and then love them. Would they rather that child be in a relationship with someone they loved, or would they rather them be in a relationship like I was in for 20 years? And I would hope and pray that they would say they would rather be in a relationship with someone they love. That's not a guarantee, because there are some parents that would rather see their child, as long as they're in a heterosexual relationship, it wouldn't matter to them what type of relationship it was, or the abuse was going on or not. It's okay with the world because it's heterosexual.
Well, because of who you are, though, you get to share that. And like Patrick was saying, it's that energy that you bring. And energy sells everywhere, because when you're your true self, you influence others, whether you think you are or not. Okay, and so that's why I think you with your courage and your leadership, you benefit us all by being you and being the authentic you, because all those years you were seen as that boxing great. Okay, but I always think about, okay, what do they do in private? What are these folks? And eventually, she's not going to be able to fight anymore. And then what? You see. And so you're, I think, a bigger asset now to humanity than you were as a boxer. I mean, you elevated the sport, and you showed what females can do. But I think what you are now, by being your authentic self and sharing it, you better us all. So I just think that's incredible. I'm so glad you're on the show. Tell me or talk to me about your book that's about to come out, or I don't know if it's come out already, but talk to me about what that is. Of course, when it's coming out, and then what's in it.
It's actually, we're about a little bit more than a year away. We're still writing. Ron Borges from Boston is actually writing, and we probably have about the first 5 or 6 chapters done. Or I don't know if they're actually the first chapters, but we have about 5 or 6 chapters done, and it's exciting. It's therapeutic. I talked to him about things that I've known Ron a long time. He was a boxing writer, is how I met him. And the funny story about it is, he was a boxing writer, and when I first started fighting on those big shows with Don King, he wasn't so much a fan of a woman being on those big shows. So I kind of won him over, and then got to know him a little bit at a time. And we laughed because he wrote some pretty shitty stuff about me from time to time. Maybe I deserved it, maybe I didn't, but it was his opinion anyway. But we're good. He's very easy for me to talk to. I talk with him about some difficult subjects. So the book is going to be, I want it to be out there for not only, it's athletes. That's like the least. The boxing is just the backdrop. It's more geared toward people in domestic violence situations, sexuality. And I really want to hit hard on parents and how to deal with and accept your child, no matter what their choice sexually might be. So the book is like it's going to touch a lot of people, and I'm excited about it. I mean, I think it's going to be great. like I said, with the sexuality thing is really important to me, because I think that I'll be able to tell some of my stories as growing up and trying to hide, and how difficult that was, and then not getting your parents' support. And even after being shot and stabbed, left for dead, still not having my parents' support, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was hurtful, because I thought, can't you just be happy I'm alive? And it wasn't just that easy. When I called them and told them I was going to marry Lisa, my mother said, don't do it. And she said it like in a very mean mother voice. And I was a little bit mean back. And, I told her I lived 20 years of my life to make them happy.
Mhm.
The next 20 was for me. The next 20, I'm going to make me happy. And I think when people realize that people, their children are living a false life just to make the parents happy, and so the parents will accept them. I don't think a lot of parents are going to want that. I hope they don't. I hope that through my stories and life experiences that I can open up eyes to of these parents of young gay children.
Oh, no, that's so wonderful. No, well, since my blindness, I work with a lot of nonprofits and all that, and one is with this Cottrell family, that they were, churchgoers, just because that's what you do, right? Until, they had 5 children, that their 2 eldest daughters, that they confided to their parents, oh, by the way, we're lesbian. They go, really? Okay. And so the parents had this decision to make. So now what, And then with the religious doctrine, out there that these folks, quote Bible verses, right? That it's somewhere in there, it's like one woman, one man kind of deal. And if it's not, then God, doesn't want that and all that. And so, so this lady ended up going to her church members and say, oh, by the way, what do you think about gay people? Oh, the damnation, against God and all that. And and so this lady goes, and her and her husband had figured out that all of their friends all came from church. She goes, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
I love our daughters. All this other stuff is garbage. This can't be religion. This can't be. You see, and so now they're they're still very much into the Bible, but there's kind of like redefined to them, or they'd have to reevaluate it of what the messages really are, and they're on this quest to involve all gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, kids, into just being wanted, and to form a group. And things like that, because I had her on my radio show that you're going to be on next week too. But hers was it all changes when your family members tell you that they're not the so-called normal. Then what? And I listened to her TED Talk, which I want you to do. One is that she goes, love comes first. And Patrick knows this very well, because he just lives and preaches unconditional love. And he goes, love comes first. And whatever's written in that thing called the Bible, these are opinions of folks. And yes, I believe in God, and yes, I believe in Jesus and all that. But God and Jesus weren't meant or put in our lives to exclude people. It's to include people.
Right.
And so that was her TED Talk. So I think you need to do one, but you exemplify that, and that is such a cool thing, because I can't imagine your loneliness growing up as a kid, and then you find this something that you're really good at it, like really good at, and then you end up devoting your life to for 20 years to someone that further isolates you, further controls you, and he benefited financially from all that kind of stuff because of your massive earnings, but all that. But here's you. So as I say, it's just amazing to me of what you went through, because you had more strength come out of you by living every day like that than what you did in the ring. There's more strength that you exhibited just by being alive and believing in yourself. You see, because you went through this 20-year, it's just a ruse, you're fooling the public that everything's just really cool and dandy because I'm Champ Christy and I'm a great boxer and life is great, when it's not. And so just your strength is just incredible. Your courage is incredible. Like I said, we all can learn from you, and that there's so many folks out there, parents, as well as children, that that they know what they know, and they follow what they know, but they're creating so much damage, to children, and they're missing out on just the greatest part of life because you miss all those years. So I'm just glad you're coming out with a book like this, which I think is just going to impact the society in a very good way. Now, I guess I'll put in my first request, and if I can get it in an audio version, I would like the first copy.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, we met this morning with the agent that's actually selling the book. Or there's a deal. The contract just has to be signed, and that's the thing. He kept the audio rights, so he can sell those. He's out next week to try to sell the audio rights. It will be on the audio book. I promise you that.
Oh no, because I just want one, and like I said, I listened to some of your documentary, and then I of course look you up, but I want to learn about all that other kind of stuff. It's just that books like that is your entire lifetime is put in these pages, and long after you're gone, that's still going to persist, and that will still help others that you've never met. And that still benefits our humanity, our society, which we need, especially now. Everyone's at each other's throats, and we're all fearful and scared of a bug that really you can't really see under an electron microscope, yet we're scared of it.
Right.
And fear, and being told what to do, and all the martial law stuff, and not too dissimilar from what you lived through for 20 years of on the surface, on the interface, being the champ, and then at home you're just abused as heck, and then yes, it didn't turn physically violent, but the psychological type of control and violence, and I think that's even more controlling. Now you don't know who you are, and then now you're like the pet that obeys, but you're not who you are, and you're not satisfied. And I'm just so glad that you took that step, to step away and to exhibit that courage where you knew you're going to get attacked or killed, and you showed up anyway, because it's like you can't keep on running from that kind of stuff. Otherwise you're always going to be looking over your shoulder, like you said, and what kind of freaking life is that? That's not life, and now you're a fearful slave, running, and that's not how life is supposed to be. So I'm so glad that you're here, and you have Lisa in your life, and I just think that you're going to find all this neat ways or things about you that you never knew about yourself, just by being you, just from being, you see. And then I think that is so wonderful. And like I said, this and Patrick says this all the time too. You share that energy from being your best self, and that's why God placed us here on earth, to somehow find a way to be our best selves. So that's who you are, Christy, and I'm so glad that you're on the the show and all that. And so you're promoting fights and all that, and I think something possibly could come up with Don King again. Where else do you want to take your company?
Yeah, well, the other thing that I do a lot of work with is Christy's Champs, and that's my nonprofit. Through Christy's Champs, again, because my life is intertwined with boxing so much, we do a very big amateur boxing tournament, USA Boxing license in North Carolina. Last year we did it. We had over 300 boxers there. And we gave everybody had a pink belt. All the winners got pink belts, and it was great. We were planning on. We thought we would have close to 500 boxers this year, But of course, because of COVID, this year was canceled. We are scheduled for July 25th weekend of next year to hold the Christy Martin tournament. I'm excited about it. I love working with the amateur kids. Absolutely love that. And I miss that more than anything, because when I lived in Florida, I had my own gym and I had my own amateur team that I took every weekend. I took them somewhere to fight. And, it was just exciting to see them grow and mature as boxers and as young men and women. So I do a lot of stuff with that. I'm actually speaking at Concord College, my little college in West Virginia, on October 15th. Going back to talk to some freshmen that are kind of questionable. They don't know for sure they really want to be in college. Maybe they would rather do something else. So I'm going to share my story. And hey, I would probably consider myself an underdog, but we don't know what our opening might be. I mean, I could have never imagined that boxing was going to be mine, because there was no one that had really been there before me that I could say, I want to be like that person. So that's what I want to get across to these people. You don't have to say, I want to be like Michael Jordan, or I want to be like, Walter Payton. You can make up your own decision of what you want to do. And that's what I want to really stress with these young men and women. So I'm excited to do that. Anytime to go back home is cool. Ron Borges will be going with me, and then I'm going to take him to my little hometown, and we'll meet different people from my growing up time, and of course with my family. I have a professional fight with Christy Martin Promotions November 7th in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So I'm excited about that. November 10th, I'll be over in Harnett County, North Carolina, at a domestic violence event. So we're speaking with domestic violence, but this is where the domestic violence, boxing, and Christy's Champs all works together. We're having a dinner. We're auctioning. That is such a hard word for me. Auctioning belts autographed by different champions. Will be that night. We'll have those to raise money for the kids at the boxing gym. We're buying them computers. We have retired teachers that come in and tutor these kids. They do their boxing. They do their, I think they do a wrestling program as well. And then there's a tutor there. We have mentors there. This is the prototype gym for what we want to do with Christy's Champs across the country. We do a small version of it here in Austin. We take the kids from the domestic violence shelter and we teach them boxing 1 day a week at the gym that we have here. We do it in Mark's gym in North Carolina, Harnett County. I was doing it with a gym in Florida. Any place we get an opportunity that somebody will get on board with a local domestic violence shelter, we do that. We really try to put this program out there. And it gives the kids a place to go, place to feel at home, a place to feel part of a good family, get support, and then it gives the mothers a little break to just kind of hang out and chill as well.
You're up in Austin.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I'm in Houston.
Oh, cool. We're actually talking with a couple of people over in Houston about doing a boxing promotion, professional promotion next year. Of course, everything is crazy this year. So
yeah.
Hopefully next year things smooth out a little bit and we might do a show over there.
My 4-year-old's very spirited, very athletic, and loves to punch. So maybe I should send her your way.
Right. Yeah.
She's
Termite
quite.
Watkins is actually over there in Houston, and Termite is he works with a church and has a great boxing program, amateur boxing program, as well as he has a couple of pros too. But yeah, he would be a great guy to try to find him, Termite Watkins.
She was I mean, by the time she was 3, I was like, I think we get like a UFC champion, because like she gets and she's got like impeccable aim for her age, throwing, and she's just very athletic.
Yeah, cool.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Christy, for giving us your time. And I don't have any further questions for you, but very, very excited to have you on as a guest. I could ask you a billion things about boxing, but I'll go ahead and I'll do that another time maybe. Dr. Randall.
Anytime. I love talking boxing.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up. I will admit that I was in the 80s. When I was a kid, I was a big Tyson fan. Of course, who wasn't?
Right.
So and I read all sorts of books about him, learned all about Customato and all about, Don King and all about the boxing world, and his whole life, and which was an incredible story if you think about how everything kind of blew up for him too. And when you were talking about how you would stand over your opponents and, gloat, and, to Mike Tyson, and I was thinking, well, what boxer doesn't do that? I mean, you think Muhammad Ali would even, he was probably the pioneering in terms of taunting your opponent,
Right. Right. Yeah. No, he laid some good groundwork for press conference talk. That's for sure.
But good observations about Don King. What you're saying is very true. I never thought about that he was basically is a showman from start to finish, because you think about all the famous, the Rumble in the Jungle, the Thriller in Manila, they were all big productions, just like you say.
Yep.
So thank you from my end, Christy. Dr. Randall?
Oh, no, gosh, I could talk to her, like for hours and hours, because, I just really, I enjoyed boxing, and not only just the events, but, I like what goes on behind, all the miles of the, of the running and the leg work and the training, and then the mindset, because, there's a lot of boxers that come and go and all that, but there's one Christy Salters.
Yeah, there's only one champ.
There's only there's one champ. There can only be one, and for 20 years, you were a leader and rode, that tidal wave, and because of you, women's boxing is what it is now. And so, one, you could never imagine that because you did not have that role model to follow, because there weren't any. You're it now, and now you've expanded, out to, so although you say you're not a teacher, you are, because you teach parents, you teach children, okay, that diversity is okay, and diversity is what makes us strong, and to go after your dreams, okay, do what you need to do to become that person, which is training, repetition, mother of skill, right? But what you do now is so impactful for our world that I don't know. I'm just one, grateful to know you and to be able to speak to you, and I can't wait for your book to come out. But so there's my lengthy closing. Christy, so glad to have you on, and in the next week you're going to be on the radio show. So let's do more.
For sure, anytime.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Honored by sharing a planet with people like you, Christy.
Thank you.
You guys totally make a difference. So
thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.